Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. Thanks for watching the show today. Appreciate you guys liking these videos for me, hitting the thumbs up button, sharing these videos with as many people as you can. Talking about some more important stuff today that can and probably will affect everybody in some way or another. Maybe directly, maybe indirectly. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button so we can keep growing the community, all right, and spreading this important information. Two stories to share with you today. First one is relative to the banks in this country. And a story out of USA Today I saw entitled FDIC Problem Bank List Grows as Industry Profits Dip. And we have the head of the FDIC coming out and making some comments, which I'll share with you in a second. But this guy is going to be retiring in January, okay, making way for Trump's selection. We also have in the second story I'll share with you today, Janet Yellen coming out in the last couple of days and basically saying she's sorry that the debt has gotten so out of control. She's now presided over a $15 trillion increase in U.S. debt, so she's sorry. So the first story, a top U.S. bank regulator added two banks with combined assets of roughly $84 billion to its so-called problem bank list in the third quarter, while overall industry profits dipped 8.6%, the regulator said. You just wonder, with everybody transitioning out, either resigning, retiring, leaving their posts now that they've served for the past 4 years, you wonder how many skeletons in the closet there actually are, okay? And how bad things really are, because you know that the general public is not ever told of how bad things are below the surface, okay? I've been sharing the last couple of videos information about the continued rampant inflation in this country. So this guy's Federal Reserve Deposit Insurance Corporation typically does not identify firms that are added to the problem bank list, which includes banks that have received particularly low confidential scores from bank supervisors. Why are they confidential? Why isn't this information made available to the public? Why isn't there transparency? So you can make educated decisions on where you want to bank, where you want to trust your money being on deposit, as opposed to maybe where you would think twice about and make some other decisions. Why? Isn't that a form of concealment? Again, love to hear your comments. I do read them, so please feel free to let me know what you think about that. It's like everything else, right? The public is, let's say, material information is never put out to the public so that we can make ahead of time, not after the fact when things are collapsing, banks are closing, deposits are being frozen until after the fact, right? Says FDIC Chairman Martin Gruenberg said the overall level of problem banks, now totaling 68 firms, is not atypical. What he added it is a consequential development for individual firms that comes with added scrutiny. Consequential development means it's a big deal. In individual firms, what individual firms? So they're scrutinizing the firms just like they were scrutinizing, evidently, Silicon Valley Bank, right? We know what happened with that in the last year and a half or so. So this guy is going to be retiring in January. On Thursday, the FDIC reported quarterly profits for the banking sector were down, it says, slightly after a bank enjoyed a one-time surge in the prior quarter. Says their profits were down 8.6%. You guys own your own businesses. If your profits dip 8.6%, do you consider that to be a big thing for you? I would say so. All right. So why are banks' profits dipping? I mean, they're charging, they're charging excessive bank fees. A lot of banks charge minimum amounts, monthly fees now to have minimum deposits in your accounts. So again, leave your comments below. Why are banks losing money? I would say you probably have let's say, major section of these banks that are losing money on non-performing commercial loans. That's another shoe that's going to drop probably in 2025 as these commercial loans start becoming due, and they can't refinance these loans into a better or lower rate than they're already at. And what's going to happen? Those properties are going to be given back to the banks. Okay, so there were some signs of caution in the latest figures. The ratio of past due or non-accrual loans in the commercial, here we go, commercial real estate sector ticked up to 2.07%, the highest level recorded since 2013, as borrowers continue to grapple with high levels of office vacancies following the pandemic. All right, so that's the information on the banks. Be very careful who you're banking with. Be very careful having all of your money in any one institution. Be very careful, and I would suggest, strongly advise not to have any deposits over the FDIC level. But look, I don't even think that we can rely on that anymore. We've shared on this channel before, and you've probably read elsewhere, that the FDIC is severely undercapitalized, and something like, I don't know, cents on the dollar would actually be available if there was a major banking crisis. So just tuck that away. I thought it was important to hear. All right. So these guys always warn before something bad happens. They throw out, oh, well, we've added a couple banks to the list. There's some more scrutiny. It's not a great thing. Oh, by the way, banking revenues are down 8.5%, but nothing to see here, right? Just be careful. Next story which is what gave rise to today's thumbnail title. It's out of Zero Hedge yesterday. Today. It says Janet Yellen is sorry after presiding over a $15 trillion increase in U.S. debt. She says, I'm concerned about fiscal sustainability. So now, on her way out the door, she's concerned about fiscal sustainability. And I'm sorry that we haven't made more progress. Not only have you made no progress, but you've dug the hole a lot deeper for what I'm going to share with you. She said, adding that, quote, I believe the deficit needs to be brought down, especially now that we're in an environment of higher interest rates. Okay, so we have a Fed meeting coming up where the Fed's expected to cut rates by additional 25 basis points. Okay, so when she says higher interest rates, what is she talking about? I mean, the rates have been being cut over the past several meetings, and the markets, for sure, stock markets are pricing in that the rate cuts are going to continue. As soon as the indication is that's going to reverse course or the rate cuts are going to be paused, look out below if you're in the stock market. Under Yellen's watch, the U.S. experienced its biggest debt increase in history. Yellen was Fed chair from October 2010 until February 2014, and then Fed chair from February of 2014 until February of 2018, a period during which she kept rates at zero for almost the entire duration of her tenure. More to the point, under Yellen, the total U.S. debt increased by $6.8 trillion while she was the Fed chair / vice chair, and then another $8.4 trillion while she's been the current Treasury Secretary. In other words, she's personally presided, it says, over a gargantuan $15.2 trillion increase in U.S. debt, or about 42% of all U.S. debt ever issued. The U.S., and there's some information that came out a few days ago, which I think I shared in a video about the fiscal budget deficit. The U.S. just started its latest fiscal year as well with the biggest 2-month increase in the budget deficit on record, guys, on record. And meanwhile, U.S. interest expense is now $1.2 trillion, the second largest government outlay, surpassing defense and health spending, and it's just one debt crisis or rate spike, it says, away from exceeding Social Security spending as the largest government outlay for the world's most indebted government. So there you have it. We could potentially be seeing signals of another banking crisis in the United States coming next year as we have all these outgoing folks, okay, and how much damage has truly been done, let's say, under the surface on their watch, these people's watch. Let's see. It's going to be wild, I think, in 2025. Appreciate you tuning in today to watch the show. Again, I appreciate the support for the channel. All of you have a fantastic weekend. Please don't neglect getting those steps in. Don't neglect your physical fitness regimen. Don't neglect the diet. And again, I do try to mention on this channel at least a couple times a week that it's important that we continue to stay healthy, stay strong, stay resilient, and button down the hatches. All right. Thanks again. Talk to all of you soon. Bye.